What always strikes me as being really interesting is that people seem to think that when they retire and they want to take up painting, the best medium for them to choose is watercolour. Now, whilst it's portable, you know, you've got a small container full of a lot of different colour, it is also perhaps one of the most difficult paint mediums that you can use, because generally you've got to put the colour down in the right place first time without much opportunity to move things around. So if you're working with the body, it's a really good idea to think about the gesture drawings that we did in one of my earlier videos. And at the moment I've diluted some watercolour down with a lot of water so that I can make some marks on my paper, trying to summarise the figure down with 5 brush marks. But because I've used a very, very transparent colour, I'm not completely committed to those marks. I can now start to mix up a little bit more pigmentation into my watercolour. And to a certain extent you have to allow watercolour to do what it's going to do. One of the biggest lessons that I had with watercolour was actually initially drawing with just ink and a brush. Because I was dealing with just a single colour, what I really began to understand from that exercise was ideas about transparency and opacity. So how thick do you put the colour on? At the moment obviously this paper is vertical, so gravity will cause water to form at its lowest point. So unless we want those darker spots of tone, a simple piece of kitchen roll, toilet paper, etc. can remove that. So at the moment I'm trying to use the transparency of the medium and the whiteness of the paper to give me luminosity. It's a really good idea if you do buy yourself a set of watercolour, particularly when you buy them in this kind of pan, is to get rid of the little brush that they come with. What you want with watercolour is a really big brush, a brush that will hold a point. In many ways the best kind of brush that you can use is a Japanese calligraphy brush. You don't want to work the surface of the paper too much, although this is a watercolour paper, so this will take a bit more battering than say a flimsy piece of cartridge. And if you are going to use a lighter weight cartridge, it's a really good idea to stretch your paper beforehand. So in a sense, that initial gesture drawing is trying to lay down the essence of the pose. And what I need to start doing now, treading quite cautiously, is start to increase the intensity of my colour without going too far.